Let me go on record. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism.
And they say that that is the best answer for BDS, for Israel to continue to come up with breakthroughs that the rest of the world simply cannot live without. I want to focus on...
I think you're right. Those countries and those organizations should be worried about Israel boycotting them.
Ambassador...
I'm serious.
Good afternoon. So I wanted to read to you a few things today and give you an update. Malia and I have been doing a lot of research into the subject matter that we've been discussing the past few weeks. And it is astonishing and alarming to find the things that we've found. Now again, these are things that nobody really wants to see. And I can tell you that for one, Malia did not want to see these things, obviously having a daughter who was raised Jewish. And understanding the things that we've found and discovered have been quite alarming to her. Now, but that's not to say, again, and I want to emphasize, that's not to say that we're calling all Jews the Pharisees or the Sadducees, because clearly there were many Jews within the words, within the scriptures, that weren't Pharisees and Sadducees. But what we are discovering is that there is a great deception that has taken place, more so for anyone, the Jews. That through the bloodlines and through who those that call themselves Jews, but are not, they lie, but are a synagogue of Satan. That through the bloodlines, and as we've discovered through 23andMe and some of the articles, that they are now calling those that would be Ashkenazi Jews, that they are just calling them the diaspora, the European diaspora, thus making those people believe that they are actually still Jews, that they are the diaspora, the dispersed of the Jews, the lost house of Israel, or the lost tribes. But the reality couldn't be more different. So as we're discovering that the Ashkenazi Jews were only Jews by accepting Judaism. They were not Jews by bloodline. And the astonishing thing is the vast majority of Jews today that believe they are Jews by their own understanding, by their own growing up, by the own teachings that they've received, that they've been handed down the fact that they're Jews. But the reality is that many, and I mean many, are not. Now imagine how startling this would be, which is why 23andMe had changed their statement that these people within their bloodlines that were having their DNA checked and looking at their ancestry, that they were Ashkenazi. Now, they had to alter that opinion and reissue those and then just call them the Jewish European diaspora. They had to do that because if anybody has actually done any research into the Ashkenazi, you will understand that they're not Jews at all. Now, it's pretty incredible that we're finding that in many statements, the Chabad Lubavitch organization and those that think they're Jews and that they call themselves, they're a Zionist sect, they're a Zionist organization. Now, Zionism and Judaism are not the same, which we've discovered. Zionism is quite different, and there are, as we've shown in previous videos, there are hundreds of thousands of Jewish rabbis and Jewish people that entirely disagree with Zionism because it does not reflect who they are within the scriptures, and it does not reflect who they're supposed to be. So there is a conflict amongst Jews that you do not hear about. They do not show the rabbis protesting this on mainstream media. They'll only show them on opposition media like Al Jazeera and Russia Television, Russian news. Now, it's quite alarming that it would be so easy to remove such a historical fact, that it would be so easy. But you have to understand that the threats that are out there on behalf of the Zionist organizations are quite real. And they threaten to boycott the world of everything. And Malia and I are going to get into some of those things. But as I've said many times, that the Zionist organizations own the banks, they own the vast majority of patents, particularly around medical They own the vast majority of patents around technology. It's not these technology companies that you think. And even if it is these technology companies, it'll be the venture capitalists and the funding organizations that have funded these companies and the vast majority of the owners. They all come from the same people. So you can see how easy it will be to dominate the world, particularly if they were to withdraw these patents and stop licensing these technologies. And we're going to get into that, and we're going to be showing some of the videos that show very, very succinctly exactly these threats and exactly how these people think and how tied up the United States government is within them and many of the major governments around the world, because they are run and driven by the world banking systems. As long as you control the money, as long as you control the economic systems, including the technologies and the patents around everything that makes people live today, you can see how easily it would be to lure people into those systems and then to be able to control them. So giving up those systems will be incredibly difficult for the vast majority of the world. And so Malia and I will be showing these things and discussing this. And we will also be coming to you not just with these alarming messages, but we will also continue to discuss the red letters of Christ, because he was very, very specific in how he discussed this very subject. He was the one disclosing this in the first place. Now, the reality is the Pharisees and the Sadducees of the day, they might have actually been bloodline Jews. But at the same time, they weren't practicing the doctrines of the Jews. They were practicing the doctrines of man, which Christ points out, calling them hypocrites at almost every single turn. So don't think that Judaism itself was something that Christ was exalting. In fact, he was tearing it to the ground. And for good reason, when you begin to understand that the deception had already taken place and is even greater today. Untangling this web has been a challenge, and this is why it's been so long in between videos. So I'm going to be reading to you here from Matthew 23 and 24 in just a moment, but I wanted to give you a quick update because there will possibly be some delays because Malia and I are going to be moving. Fortunately, we have found a location, and we're going to be changing locations here. We will still maintain the location that we're at, except we can't live here as permanent residents. So we will occasionally be able to come back and visit, but we will be working elsewhere within the state. And in an attempt to not have to come to you for support, because as you know, this is not something that I enjoy doing or want to do on a regular basis, that we are going to be trying to do some other work that we would not be having to come to you all the time and ask you for help and support. But currently, we do need your help and your support to get us through to the next step of this. So for those that are willing, please consider donating to the ministry itself, because we do need help. In fact, we do need help in the move and in funding of that. So we appreciate anything. If the Father leads you and guides you to help support us, then we do appreciate that. And I have the link in the description box below to do just that. And we love and appreciate all of your support. The amazing outpouring of support from all of you has been just incredible. And we cannot thank you enough and tell you how much we love your support and that you are following what the Father's will would have for you, because people want to be involved in the ministry and they want to be able to contribute and they want to be able to help in whatever way they can. And we do hope to have a place and a time here in the near future that for those that can't contribute financially, that you would be able to contribute your abilities, your work abilities. And so we are definitely working towards that, and everything is in the Father's will. But I'm going to be reading to you today from Matthew 23 and 24, and this is describing Christ having a conversation about the Pharisees. In fact, he's speaking directly to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And I want you to listen closely, and I'll walk through some of these things. So it says, "Then Jesus said to the crowds and the disciples, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So do and observe whatever they tell you, but not the works they do. For they preach, but they do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move one of their fingers. They do all their deeds to be seen by others, for they make their phylacteries broad and their fringes long, and they love the place of honor at feasts, and the best seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the marketplaces, and being called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And call no man your father on earth, for you have one Father who is in heaven. Neither be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Christ. Now, what is he speaking about, the Christ? Is he talking about him? No, because he also knows that he's going to be going away. So he's talking about the Christ, the Spirit of Christ within you. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. The greatest among you, the person that is in Christ, the greatest among you that understands these things will be your servant. So he will be humble because he will recognize just how big the Father is and just how small he is. He won't be exalted in this. He won't be calling himself Christ for everybody. He will be teaching you that Christ is for all. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces, for you neither enter yourselves nor allow those who would enter to go in. This is precisely what we're seeing, that they say that they are the only ones that can go in, but yet they don't go in themselves, because they're far more concerned about outwardly appearances, wearing the long robes and having the places of honor and hobnobbing with politicians and signing in 7 Noahide laws. Like Christ said, for in the last days it will be as in the days of Noah, indicating to you that you will be hearing Noah's name. And it will be just like in those days where the Noah laws are being pushed. Woe to you, blind guides, for who say, if anyone swears by the temple, it is nothing, but if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, he is bound by his oath. You blind fools, for which is greater, the gold or the temple that has made the gold sacred? So keep in mind that everything that Christ speaks about when he speaks of the temple, well, of course, where's the kingdom? Well, the kingdom is within you, so the temple is within you as well. You, your soul, your spirit is the temple. So he's speaking very clearly here that when you swear by the temple, then you swear by the thing that you've offered, which is yourself, and that is far greater than any of this physical items that have been placed within the temple, because the temple itself has made the gold or the offering sacred. So anything that you, when you're in Christ, offer, anything that you say is where the power lies. It all lies within you. He is breaking down that, see, in this world, in Satan's world, as I've said many times, everything that is of the fathers in the spiritual, they will try to make and attempt to make it physical, just like the city of Jerusalem. Just like all the things that they build, it is to distract you. The enemy's job is to bring everything of the fathers and make it physical in front of your face, so you honor the physical elements and not the spiritual elements of the Father. This is the enemy's job, and he does amazing at it. He's very good. Now he continues, and this I'm going to skip to Matthew 24 here. He says that Jesus left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. But he answered them, "You see all of these things, do you not? Truly I say to you, there will not be one stone left upon another. They will all be thrown down." So as I was saying before, keep in mind that everything that is about to take place, and trust me, it is accelerating. Everything is accelerating right now. You can see it politically, you see it in the weather, you see it in the skies, you see it all around you. The entire world is coming to this precipice where people are going to begin to see the physical elements of the world collapsing. Now, why is this taking place? Well, it's being caused. It's being directed. Because as you know and as you've heard, they would like you and everybody in the world to hasten the coming of God. And in the beliefs of the Zionists that are driving and running everything, they would like to cause the hastening of the coming. Why? Why would they like to cause the calamities, and how do they see it happening? Well, as we're disclosing in many of their statements and their teachings, their Talmudic teachings, the Kabbalists of the world, they are teaching that it is redemption through sin, that they cause the calamities, that they themselves can cause the world to enter such a negative state that God has no choice but to come and wipe it out. Now, why is it that they would like God to come and wipe it out? Well, you see, they themselves would like to have all of this for themselves. So the Zionists of the world have gathered the values, the gold. They have gathered all of the merchandise in exchange for false currency, these dollars that you think actually have value. And they have built their establishments in the mountains. They have built their protected places within the world. And they will gather the elite, and they will gather their sons and their daughters, and allow all of us to endure the calamities that are about to come, which are caused and brought upon by them. They don't want you to be aware of them, so you're not protected. They don't want you to be aware of where they have built their palaces within the mountains, because you wouldn't really allow them to go in. In fact, they would be collapsing the world and the people if they knew the things that were coming. They would collapse upon those locations and upon those peoples that are causing these things. So these are the alarming things that are going to happen. But remember, Christ said, "Let your hearts not be troubled," because all of these things must come to pass. Remember that this life in this physical form is really nothing, and you don't really die, which is why Christ was so poignant in pointing out that God is the father of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac, right? That he's the God of the living, not of the dead, pointing out that those people physically had died, but yet they are still living, which is why dry bones rise, which is why Elijah could return in John and also come again, that he never really dies, he never really goes away, he just inhabits someone else, because Elijah's job is Elijah's job, and it will be fulfilled. Enoch's job is Enoch's job, and it will be fulfilled. My job is my job, and it will be fulfilled. That somewhere along the way, that all of you most likely have a soul or a spirit of someone very, very ancient. For the Ancient of Days does return and does remain. We never really go anywhere. And this is throughout all of the scriptures, regardless of what some Christian dogma wants to teach you. Christ spoke of it himself. It's in his words. So anyone that denies his words denies him. And anybody that denies that Christ can and will live in you. But remember this, for many are called and few are chosen. It's not that they're chosen based on who you are. It's you're chosen based on you making yourself available to the Father. Dying to the things of this world. Deny yourself. Pick up your own cross and live. Picking up your own cross and living is a demonstration saying, "The Father, I'm available." But also remember, Christ said, "No one comes to the Father unless he calls them." So when you hear that call, you drop everything. You ignore everything. The only thing you want to do is simply exist for him. Do what you need to do. That doesn't mean to throw away your job. It's just living differently. Not living for those things, but utilizing those things in your life. And I'm going to be getting into a lot of that because I think that it's important for me to explain in different circumstances and to help guide people into what living in Christ actually is. Now, that's different for many different people. That's different for me, and it's different for you. So we'll try to go into those scenarios, and I also would like to begin the Blog Talk Radio again. That allows you to call in with your questions and have those conversations, and also do that with Zoom right here live on YouTube as well. So the good news about the new location that Malia and I are going to, and I'm so thankful for the people that have made their place available for us to do this, that we will be able to have a permanent setup for the next at least 5 months, that we'll be able to have a permanent setup that we can broadcast and come to you live without having to move our equipment from one place to the other. And it'll also allow us to set up stuff that we could also, as I said, do some multimedia marketing and things for other people that would allow us to substantiate the work that we're doing here and pay for it, and not have to come to you for help all of the time, because I really do not like doing that at all. But obviously, this requires a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of work and effort put into this, as just the research itself can take all day just for a single thing, because we don't want to come to you half-handed. We don't want to come to you with partial information. We want to be able to come to you with all of it. And so your support of this ministry is very, very important. It allows us to focus on this and not have to focus on work. But I don't want to have to come to you all the time and ask. Now, also, I do want to point out that the censorship here on YouTube and on other social media platforms is definitely tightening. This censorship is amazing. We've watched it with our videos, just the past videos that they were posted to a very, very big website that has millions of visitors. And the minute that they were posted and had an influx of views, that something called shadow banning was put into effect, where our views on the videos stopped. They just stopped for literally days. And they stopped having a count, although my analytics in the back office of YouTube shows that they were still functioning and that we were still getting views from all over the world, but yet they weren't calculating the views on the view count. So a video that shows that it has 34,000 views really probably has a couple 100,000. And they do that so it doesn't appear in the trending section or the must-watch section where people are looking for what is popular. Obviously, they don't want this subject matter to be popular. And if you want to know who owns these social media companies, well, just look at the companies that own them, that own the vast majority of stock in them, because those companies are just simply stock exchange brokers or banks. And we all know who owns the banks. So with that said, Malia and I are going to be, in fact, we've been putting together and gathering a bunch of this information, and we will be putting together these in videos. And sometimes we'll come to you live, but we'll probably, for the sake of the lack of distractions of the online chat, we will probably make the videos and then premiere them. So you'll still be able to chat, but we won't be distracted by the chat itself and the online interaction that goes on with live videos, unless we're there to be answering questions. And so we will definitely have those coming. I will continue to bring you scriptures and enlightening elements of Christ, as will Malia and I together. We just wanted to let you know that we haven't gone anywhere, we haven't lost faith in you, and we haven't lost faith in those that have ears to hear. We look forward to coming to you, and we look forward to visiting you. And in the location that we're going to be in, I am definitely planning on having some live sessions where I will be able to be at a location live that we will be able to set up and have you come and join us live at a sit down. So not a church per se, but some place that we could rent where you could come and we can all interact live and have fellowship one-on-one. So we look forward to that, and we'll be at a location where it'd be easier for you to fly in and get to. We're going to be in the Phoenix area. So we look forward to being able to visit with you one-on-one and see you face-to-face and give you hugs and share some of the love that we have in our hearts with you. We love you very much. We'll talk to you soon. And again, all of the description information, as I said, about contributing to the ministry will be in the description box below. We love you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.